everyone! Welcome back to the Embeemakes knitting channel. My name's Melissa and I'm the maker behind Embeemakes. I post videos here on YouTube and you can also follow me on Instagram, where I'm also Embeemakes. There you can see more of the day-to-day knitting I do in my stories, or follow up on my WIPs in my posts. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube if you want to be notified when I post a new video. I try to record a podcast episode every month, but now it's been, I think a bit more over a month. I did one in December, but it was more mid-December, so it's been a month and a half. As I'm recording this on the 28th of January. It's a nice sunny day today, so there might be some glaring in my glasses from the window, but it's perfect to show off some beautiful finished objects and my works in progress. Let's start with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a hand knit simple cardigan today. It's one of my more older pieces. I think I've knit this almost 2 years ago as a kind of beginner project. I already knew how to knit, but this was still on straight needles instead of in the round, and I knit panels. This is actually more like the cardigan I knit for my best friend's wedding in the beige that I knit with Drops Brushed Alpaca, which is really soft. But this was a more rustic mohair-ish yarn from Veritas. It's not really soft. It's okay because I'm wearing long sleeves now and a bit of a higher neck, so it's not that it's not scratchy. I don't feel it, but I can't wear a t-shirt underneath this. But it's nice and warm, which is perfect for winter. Love the green color. So yeah, let's get started with some finished objects. I have a few, and I've also made lots of good progress on my other WIPs, but let's start with the first finished object, which is a Hipsterhat by Petiteknit. I knit this with Peer Gynt. I think it's from Sandnes Garn, in this lovely tweed, like a beige with some black specks in it and a bit of brown too. It's a really pretty, perfect yarn for a simple ripped beanie or hat. I've worn this a couple times. I think the sizing is okay. It's a bit more on the loose side. So for another hat that I will show later, I'm knitting it a bit tighter. But I do love it. I've worn it already a few times when it was really cold out, and it really kept my ears warm. So it's a really lovely hat. I can really recommend the pattern. I know there also are some free patterns that look a lot like this one. So yeah, a simple 2x2 ribbed beanie is always nice to have in a basic natural color. So yeah, my Hipsterhat. The second finished object, which I knit a few weeks ago, it's still a bit damp. It's the Balaclava #1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit this earlier this month and I cast it on Monday, and I finished it on Friday, I think, or Saturday. So just under a week. I didn't knit monogamously on this. I did knit on a few socks at the same time, well, in between. But yeah, it flew off my needles. I've only blocked this yesterday, so it's still damp. So I won't put it on now. But yeah, you can check out some pictures on my Instagram. There I've posted the process over a few days. I knit this with Knitting for Olive, merino and soft silk mohair. It was the first time really working with that yarn. I do have a sweater quantity of it for my Cargill sweater. But I only need a swatch for that. This is an entire project. And I really loved working with it. I think the color is clover green. This really lovely bright spring green. I really like wearing greens, like you can see in the cardigan. I think the color really suits me. And yeah, it's a really nice pop of color in the cold, dark winter months. Yeah, it was really easy to knit, and it was quite fast too. I've just worn it once, but that was before I blocked it, and it's a tiny bit itchy in my neck, because I'm a little bit sensitive there, I think, to the mohair. But maybe it's different after I've blocked it now. It feels really soft in my hands. It was soft to work with. But I'll let you know how I feel about it after I've worn it a few times. Then the next finished object, finally, are these socks. They're still on the blockers because they're also still a bit damp. I just finished them 2 days ago, I think, and I've worn them yesterday, but I didn't block them yet. So when I was blocking my balaclava, I decided to block these two. Yeah, they're really nice. The pattern is kind of self-drafted. I used the Biscuit sock pattern, which is a free pattern, but it's for DK socks. And I know that I'm usually around 56 stitch circumference for my socks with fingering weight yarn. So I cast on 56 stitches, did a bit of 2x2 ribbing here for 10-12 rows, I think. And then I used the Biscuit sock stitch from that pattern, which is just a few knits and then a purl, and then a few knits and a purl, and a few rows below. I don't know if you can really tell. It's a bit displaced. And it's really simple, but it's so lovely, especially in this yarn. I've used again ginger and thyme hand-dyed mohair, hand-dyed sock yarn, and yeah, it's a really lovely yarn to work with, lovely to wear. I have knit some shorty socks in them already with another color, but for these I wanted to have a bit of a longer leg. These have been on my needles since October because they were Socktober cast on, and I had for the most part just this part done of one sock, and then I got started on them again and knit the first sock and then immediately cast on the second. And yeah, now they're finished so I can wear them. But they were really lovely to make, and I know I will wear these a lot. I have some yarn left over. The colorway I think was Old Rose, and it's really lovely orangey purple, orangey pink. Yeah, love the color. I know I will use this scrap yarn in another sock project as a contrast color, maybe for heel, toes and cuffs, or for some color work, maybe in some fall socks I think, but I will tell you more about that when I will use it. So that's all for the finished objects. I do have one other finished object that I made during this period, which were some penny gloves as a gift. I will pop a picture here because I don't have them anymore. They have been gifted, and I think the recipient really liked them. And I do have some yarn left over from that, but that will go into my yarn scraps box to use up later. Well, it's not really scraps, I think I can get an entire other pair out of them. But I will decide what I do with that later. So now on to the WIPs, works in progress. I will start with some other end of year, December knits. These, I think you haven't seen them. No, I showed the yarn I was going to use in the previous podcast episode, but I hadn't cast them on yet. These were my Christmas cast on. I actually cast them on a week before, I think, or in the week of Christmas. And I have since then finished one sock. The yarn is Ginger and Thyme Christmas colorway with the main color and then some contrast for the heel and toe. This is again a self-drafted pattern, just basic vanilla sock actually, with 56 stitches again for my foot circumference. And I did a Eye of Partridge heel. I just looked up a YouTube tutorial on how to do that, and just winged it. And it turned out great. These fit nice on my foot. So I'm working on the second sock now. I just did the heel, and yeah, have to work the gusset decreases now. And yeah, these will be finished soon. Although they are Christmas socks, I think I will still wear them in the coming months, because the yarn is really lovely, and yeah, just for at home it's fine. And I will definitely wear this at the end of this year, when getting ready for the Christmas spirit. That's the first WIP, also a bit of a half finished object. The second WIP is also something you have seen before, and I've made some progress. I'm making some purple socks for my grandmother. I made her a slipover, as you might have seen in my previous podcasts. And I wanted to make her also some purple socks because she loves purple and she loves wool socks. So I got a nice skein of purple self-striping yarn. Can't remember, I think it was from Lang Yarns, but I will put it in the description below. And this is the first sock. I finished one. These were supposed to be a Christmas gift, but I didn't finish them in time, but she's okay with that. So this is the first I finished, and I'm working on the second sock. These are also my commuting projects to work, so on the train I knit on these because it's simple stockinette in the round on short circular needles. But I will try and knit some more on these at home too, so I can get them off my needles. But yeah, still have a bit to go for the leg, and then I can do simple heel. I'm following the Everyday Socks pattern by Petiteknit. I had that pattern already in my library because I did use it for some shorty socks I knit more in the beginning of last year. And it's a great simple pattern for these. So yeah, hopefully for the next podcast they are finished and gifted or ready to be gifted. Then the next project is something new. I made a video last week or 2 weeks ago, I think. Well, the previous video I made was my knitting plans and goals for 2023, and one of them was to knit one pair of socks each month. Well, I did already finish one now, but they were from last year, so I'm not sure if I'll count them. But some new socks that I cast on are some colorwork socks with cats. These are the Herdingcats socks by Stone Knits. And when I first saw these on her Instagram, I was immediately hooked. Yeah, I really love cats. We have a cat of our own. He's so cute. And of course I needed some cat socks in my wardrobe. So I looked for some yarns I could use. And these use both some hand-dyed yarns by various dyers, as well as some Vilcolana Ayurveda. I will a little basket here with the yarns. The main color is a misfit from Olivia and Oliver Fibers. It's like a greenish with a little blue hue. So that's for the main color. And then for the cats, the first that I already knit is with ginger and thyme yarn again. Debbie, she has some really lovely colors. And they're also great for color work. So this is the pumpkin spice colorway I got a few months ago. And I thought it was a perfect little cat color. So like a bit of a ginger cat. The second color that I also have used already is just some simple white Vilcolana Ayurveda. Then the next color I want to use is some brown beige yarn. This is from Twolhuis. It's a local yarn shop to me. I think it will be really nice for cats. Then the next will again be some Velcolana Arvetta in a grey. And then another color is some bright orange for another gingery cat. And then we'll see if I need an extra color. I might use some black or repeat one of these colors that I already used. So that's for the Herdingcats socks. I will probably make another pair of that later this year, with maybe doing only some black and white cats, because our cat Toby, he's black with a little white belly and in his face a little white, so I will try and recreate him in the socks maybe. Yeah, I think that will be fun. Next pair of socks is some simple thick socks that I'm making using some yarn I had in stash. This is the main color I'm using now. And I'm also using for the cuff, Novita 7 Brothers. Lovely green color. This yarn I've used before for the Santorini socks, so I knew what needle size to use and how many stitches to cast on. I did the same for the cuff, but now for the main part I'm not doing the color work, just knitting the leg. I think I will also do a heel flap with the green. Then I do the gusset decreases and the foot part in the main color, and then again do the toe in green. I think that will be a lovely pair of thick winter socks, because I really loved wearing the Santorini socks when it was like freezing temperatures, and I had really cold feet. They made my feet instantly warm. So I needed another pair of warm and thick socks. Also nice that it's on larger needles, so that goes by quite quickly. But because I do have lots of WIPs now, it takes some time to get them finished. So that's that. And then the final pair of socks I have on my needles at the moment is again a self-drafted pair. This year I maybe want to try and design something myself, a garment or an accessory or socks. And since I'm really into colorwork knitting right now, I wanted to try to create my own colorwork socks. Some simple, not too long leg socks with some basic colorwork, just 2 colors. And I wanted them to be Valentine themed, because in a few days it will be February already. And so yeah, Valentine's just around the corner, and I wanted to create for myself just some cute Valentine socks. I'm using Velcolana Arvetta in these 2 colors, so a light pink and a bit of a darker pink. And this is what I have so far. So some really simple hearts. The cuff is in half twisted rib. I really like doing that on some other socks that I made already. and it's not that hard on the wrists as the regular twisted WIP. Here you only twist the knit stitches, which creates a bit of a neater ribbed effect. And then the simple hearts, some tiny ones, some big ones. And now I will do a few more rounds of for the leg part, and then I think I will do a heel, not sure which one yet. And then knit the foot, maybe do some tiny color work thing at before starting the toe, and then again doing the toe in the contrast color. So yeah, we'll see how this turns out. I'm not sure yet how I will do, like really writing up a pattern and looking for test knitters. Maybe that's something for next year, because yeah, Valentine's is in just 2 or 3 weeks. So that's a bit short, I think, but just for myself for now. I really like, yeah, creating something special that doesn't exist as a pattern yet, because I've looked for some nice Valentine socks, but I didn't really find something I loved. And this pattern was really simple, really basic but cute. And I wanted some shorter leg socks. Okay, but I will keep you updated on these. That's all for the sock WIPs. I do have a few other WIPs, which I will show you. We'll start with a new WIP, and it's the hat I told you a bit earlier. So after knitting the Hipsterhat by Petiteknit, I wanted a simple 1x1 WIP hat, and I had some bright orange yarn in my stash, just one skein of each. I got them last year, I think in Black Friday sale or something. I wanted to try out this combination and the color, so I got one of each. And it's the Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk in this orange, and then the brighter orange is Drops Air, which I've worked with for lots of projects already, but not in a hat yet. So yeah, and I'm knitting just simple 1x1 WIP. I'm using the simple ribbed beanie or something, I don't know the exact name, by Purl Soho for the stitch count, but I went down a few sizes because that was for thinner yarn. I didn't swatch but I don't think it's really necessary for a hat. I don't know, I think this looks fine if I stretch it. I've not tried it on yet because it's on circular needles, but I think it will be fine. But we'll find out once I knit it a bit longer. I'm not sure yet if I will do the crown decreases like described in the pattern from Purl Soho, or I will try and do something similar like the Hipsterhat by Petiteknit and do like nice crown decreases. Oh, I'll show you. It's really pretty at the top. So maybe I will try something similar for this hat, or just follow the Purl Soho pattern. Not sure yet. But yeah, it feels really nice and squishy if I fold over think it will be a really lovely hat. And in a nice and bright pop of color. So yeah, hope to have this finished by next podcast. I think it will be possible. I've only cast this on 1 week, 2 weeks ago maybe, but I haven't knit on it that much. So yeah. Then next project you've seen before in my previous podcast episode, and it's my Sophie shawl. I've made quite a lot of progress since last time. I think last time I was somewhere around here. I've only done some increasing, and since then I knit some more, and I got it where I finished my first ball of yarn. I'm again for this using drops air, and I only have 2 balls of this color, so I knit until I finished my first ball of yarn, and then I started the decreasing. Now I'm here. So yeah, still need some more decreases to finish these, but it's knitting nicely. It's really soft and squishy. So yeah, we'll knit on this some more, and when it's finished I can wear it. Yeah, I think it will be perfect for just the 2 skeins of yarn. It's not super long or wide, but it's perfect for this gray color, and I think I will really love wearing this. I also have another quantity, but this time 3 skeins of the Camrose Snoof Nook yarn, which is also a blown yarn, very similar to the Drops Air, but I have some more skeins, so that will be a bit of a wider and longer shawl. But let's first finish this one. Okay, I think, okay, now I have 2 more WIPs. So again, lots of WIPs, but I'm going through them and really trying very hard not to cast on something new. Well, at least nothing large. This is still on my needles. I think I've shown it before. I've also made a post about it earlier this week on Instagram, because I hadn't shown it there yet. And this is my needles. This is my Fridayslipover by Petiteknit. I'm using Lanyards Merino 120 in this lovely burnt orange color. Color is so pretty, and yeah, I'm on the increases here, which also looks really nice in the broken rib stitch. So yeah, still have a lot to go. So I do need to pick this up some more. I haven't worked on it since last podcast, I think, or not much at least. So this needs some love. And then one last WIP is my chunky dahlia. On that one I did make some good progress. And I think last time I was still working on the yoke, but since then I've split for sleeves and did a good chunk of the body. This color is so nice. I'm again using Drops Air, I have this yarn in lots of pretty colors, and I think if I have some skeins left of different colors, I will maybe make something stripy or rainbowy. But yeah, first this project. So it's the Chunky Dahlia by Knit, or Lenny Holden Samsu. And I'm now working on the body. I've done a good part already. My sleeves are on hold. And yeah, when I finish this skein, I will first do the sleeves, I think. I know I have enough yarn of this because this is only the third skein and I've really done a lot. I'm knitting a size medium, I think. It's really a nice, light and airy sweater. I didn't want too much positive ease. I've tried it on already, but I didn't take a picture. But the fit was really nice, but it's still a bit on the short side. So it needs some more length on the body before I can start ribbing there. But yeah, it's growing nicely. So I think that's it for my WIPs. Yep. Yeah, I think most importantly will be knitting on my WIPs before the next podcast. But I do want to cast on one new thing when I maybe finish the body of my Chunky Dahlia. I want to start, if you've seen my knitting plans video, I mentioned I wanted to knit the Crescendo blouse by the Knit Purl girl. So if you haven't seen, I will use some drop skid silk in lovely dark purple and some woolly knit, British wool, from one of their cones, but I've pulled it up already to get started. This is my swatch. So I will be casting on that, but normally the blouse version is with quarter length or shorter sleeves, but as I have, I think, more than enough yarn, I will do the long sleeved version of that. So yeah, maybe you will see that in the next podcast episode. Yeah, I don't have any acquisitions this month because I'm participating in the Yarn No Buy by Alluring Knits. I've talked a bit about it in my previous video for my knitting goals. So I will be knitting from stash this year, not only for the duration of the Yarn No Buy, which is only the first 3 months of the year, but I will try and knit as much as possible from stash for the entire year. So be sure to check that video out if you want to see what I will be knitting this year and what yarn I will be using for my stash. But yeah, so no acquisitions this time. Well, also probably not next time. So I was thinking about maybe answering some questions at the end of next video. So if you have any questions for me about knitting, about me, be sure to put them below in the comments of this video, and I will try and answer them next time. Yeah, I think that's it for this podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye!